Oh, hello. And we are live on Women's Work Understanding, Women's Work Understanding, Women's Work on Expanded Understanding, here today, this evening, to be with you all to share some fabulous information and talk about things that affect a woman's life. This is the lovely ROcio. I am Angela, and we are Women's Work International, where we are endeavouring to raise funds for women's centres that specialise in education, healing, and enterprise for this oncoming time. So, hello, ROcio, how are you?
Hello. Very happy to be here with you and with everybody. Yeah. So, well, I missed you the other week, but I was traveling, doing some tramits in the city. But I missed you. But I'm here again. Yeah. Happy to be here. I can tell you that happy to see you because I don't see you, but you see me and guess what? I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much, my sweet Angela. Yeah.
Pleasure, always. So, it's been a bit of a strange week, hasn't it? Energy-wise.
Yeah, it's like well, we are passing exactly through the white the King Maya.
The kid,
The
we're
King
having
Maya.
that sort of
The
day.
weight spell. Sorry, I have to wake up. The weight spell about the warrior, you know. So this weight spell really is like a challenge every day in different energies. It's a challenge, you know. So maybe it's for that reason that we feel very strong. This energy, it's like up and downs, right? Up and downs, and it's like hung, and wait a minute. um,
Yeah, I mean, it has
for
been very
everybody,
strange.
yeah.
Yeah, Willow's saying it's been very strange. So it makes you wonder what is happening out there in the cosmos. What is happening that is creating this tiredness, this draggy feeling? What
I
is it?
think there is a crisis moving there, right? And that affect us because we belong to the galactic seed
Mm.
that we are going to talk about this seed. Yeah, we belong to them too. We belong and we are connected with everything that happened here and there and everywhere, right?
Mm.
So I think it's that. Yeah.
Yeah, massive changes on the planet happening.
It's a love movement.
Yeah, especially with the financial system, the elections. People are just going crazy.
Well, yeah, yes, as we have the influence about the movements in the universe, in the cosmic, in the galactic stuff, all that is moving, and of course affect us. And if affect us, we affect everybody. We project all that stuff, right?
Hmm.
It's a, we remember that we are like a mirror all the time, you know. So this mirror is what is inside. We project outside, and then we have here, yeah, our emotions is moving, or we don't feel stability in our lives, in our sentimental lives, in the relationship with our uh, kids, with our husbands, with our wherever we are, right?
Hmm. I mean, yeah, it's very interesting as well. The seasonal time affects us. So we've gone past the equinox. We're now in October, and the times are about to change.
Yeah, exactly. And
Before
it's,
time.
yeah, and even the Mother Earth, you feel weird. And it's a beautiful thing. I was the other day outside and I hear a very special PR. We say in Spanish PR, it's like and like a bird, you know, but a new sound outside. I never hear that kind of bird. Bird. So
Bird,
I
yeah.
was, I was looking. in the big trees. Where is that? Where is that sound coming from? You know? Or
Mm-hmm.
what's a big beer, all
Yeah.
orange, the big
Mm.
call uh,
Uh, Tail feathers.
Tefers, big one, beautiful,
Mm.
beautiful. I never saw one of them here.
What
So
is it?
look,
What is
I don't know. So a friend says this is a beer from the tropical places.
it? Mm.
So even the animals, they are losing the direction, you know. So we
Mm.
see that the mother nature is already what's they don't know what happened. You know? It's a very strange way demonstration, no? How the energy affect everything that is in the planet, you know.
Mm.
Very very interesting. Yeah,
Mm.
and well, and today, uh, if you permit me, say today is yellow solar seed energy from the
Mm.
so today the energy corresponds to the seed. It is what is inspires to flourishing, to awake conscience, to
Wow.
see brings within in the power to create extraordinary things that we have inside. You know, is the time to to put in that seed all
Mm.
that energies that we have hiding somewhere. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and put the incredible, the best things of us in that seed to flourishing and share.
Mm.
And everything is from inside. Everything is from ourselves. You know. So this is very interesting energy from today, and the seed knows that the first step is to believe. Um, One of the things very interesting about the seed
Mm.
is exactly that believe in yourself, that you are available, yeah, or you have the capacity to flourishing with the best of you. This is very interesting energy
Mm.
that we
Oh,
have now,
I,
yeah. Uh, an important thing too is we need this creation, this energy, right, to put in that seed. Now with the solar tone 9 is the one that carry all the, how can I say, the strength, the emphasis, yeah, to create, to well, to make us more conscious about exactly the mother nature, yeah, because like we have this seed in ourselves in a spirit way, in energetic way. It's the same in the mother nature. It's exactly, if we are watching a seed of any plant or any flower, we can make the comparison, yeah, in between us and that seed in that flower or in that fruit, in that veggie, that puts the best of the mother earth, yeah, to coming out and give us something beautiful. So this is our challenge today. Bring the best that all we have. The chakra that we work with is the Sili, the root chakra, the one that is connected with the Mother Earth. To, yes, to generate and to perceive and to absorb and to recognize the Mother energy, the Mother Nature energy, you know. Um, and of course, make one side. And when we put the seed in the Mother Earth, we make a special space, then the way that can growing up in the best way. So we have to put exactly that seed in the same way, in the best part of us, where nothing damage this flowering, you know, and observing all the time and learning from all the outside environment that we have. You know, so this is very, very interesting time, yeah, to recognize in ourselves the best thing, the best energy, the best feelings, the best things that we are, and believe in who you are, right? It's like put the value and have the value that you have, like being, you have a lot incredible energetic things to share with others, and to put it in that seed to flowering these um, ideas, projects, dreams, hopes, everything. So just believe that we have now the here and now in this moment for to do that. It's not like, well, tomorrow maybe I can do. No, no, no. Remember, the time is the no time, yeah, because the past is gone, but the future is, we don't know exactly how it looks like, especially in this time. But what we have sure, and we are living, and we need to enjoy it with our love and with the best of us, is exactly this here and now, with the best things to put in the seed, because we want to see this seed growing up and flowering in the best way, with the best energy, with the best of each one of us. Yeah. So, my dear Angie, you are seed, so it's a day very powerful for you.
You summoned me in and I just appeared magically. Thank you. It's a very strange day. That's beautiful. But yeah, growth. I had good growth in the time period that you talked about, in the no time period.
That's good. That's good.
But sometimes on Earth, you can get a bit tired.
Oh, yes.
Of all that's going on. So what we're going to do, what we'll do is we'll end the show with a journey into the peace of self. And we have tonight, actually, we have our lovely guest, Paola Montserrat, a young lady who's on her path, and she's come to share her story with us. This is going to be so beautiful. I'm just going to welcome Paola to the show and add her to the stream. Hello, Paola. How are you?
Hi, Angela. Hi, ROcio. And hi, all of the viewers.
Hello. Welcome to Women's Work.
Yeah.
How are you?
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. And we were having a conversation earlier that you're on a magical journey. It's sometimes a bit mystical.
Yes.
And
very mystical at times.
Yeah, I mean, I witnessed you in a circle, and I was very impressed with what you do. Would you like to tell us a bit more about yourself?
Thank you. And your presence in that circle that night was definitely a divine orchestration. And it was a delight to have your presence with us. And a lot of great work was done. So I am of Ecuadorian descent. My ancestors are from Ecuador. I am a holy fire Reiki master. And at the beginning of the pandemic, out of the need to get together with others, with other kindred spirits, I began a digital hangout, which turned into what we now call the Divine Wisdom Circle. And the Divine Wisdom Circle is a digital healing space based on this idea of a circle, which is an ancestral technology that has been used throughout time and space by Afro-Indigenous cultures. And when you think about a circle, it's not linear. We are all coming together on the same level, knowing that we all have infinite gifts. And sometimes it just takes somebody witnessing you. And in terms of an ancestral technology, that is what a circle has been used for witnessing others and for yourself to be witnessed. And given the inner and outer shifts that we're going through, we started out very small and over time just grew because of the demand for this type of space. And we're rooted in ancestral knowledge. So we really try to uplift the healing ancestral tools and cosmologies of Black, Indigenous people of color. We have guest speakers. We have the opportunity for anyone who wants to join us, regardless of your beliefs, regardless of your walk of life, to come in. And if they want to bring an offering of what they know, they're able to do that with us.
Beautiful. And where did you get the idea from? How did you access that? What was your process to get to it?
Yes. I'm so sorry, Angela, you cut out in the last part. I didn't hear what you said.
What was your process to access that? When did you have that ultimate realization? I'm just going to do this digital hangout. That first step.
Yeah, well, I guess as a woman that's been rooted in so many different worlds, you know, like I've experienced the magic and the ancestral healing practices in Ecuador. I've had the opportunity to go into the rainforest and share with indigenous people. And I've had the opportunity from a very young age to receive transmissions of the knowledge within the area where my mother is from, which is an area in Ecuador with a predominantly Afro-descendant population. So from a very young age, I had this need to search for something more, to search for my roots, to search for what felt very ancestral and what came before me and what I wasn't necessarily taught, especially growing up here in the US. There was a sense of disconnection. So I feel like the circle kind of came together through a divine orchestration. It started out with just myself and one of my college girlfriends who was on a similar path of reconnection. And we just started inviting other people. And I feel like as we are living through these times, it's very important for us to remember those that came before us, those that also faced very difficult times and turmoil and used very specific tools to transcend their physical limitations. And I feel like for myself personally, there's a calling to kind of transcend some of this chaos that we're living through. And I've been using my own knowledge. I've been tapping into the ways that my ancestors confronted similar challenges to kind of learn the most that I can from this time. And that is something that I feel like we all kind of connect with when we come together digitally.
Mm-hmm. That just sounds beautiful. So did you expect it to grow in the way that it did?
I didn't expect it to grow, and it honestly has just been a labor of love. And I feel like what I have noticed, it's almost like an interesting experiment, right? Because we have these physical limitations right now because of the pandemic and what we're living through. Yet divine wisdom and universal knowledge transcends all spheres. And that's what I'm learning. I'm learning that the divine still works even in these digital connections. And we've been coming together now for 6 months. And what we've noticed is that there are so many common threads within our experience and what we are going through as subjects to this larger process. So we have people from all over the world that connect. And it doesn't matter whether the person is in the UK, whether the person is in Mexico, whether the person is in California. Because of these times, it's almost like in this longer process, we will come together and we'll just be like, oh yeah, like we've been feeling this way, or this is what's coming up for us. And we all kind of just connect and realize like we're all kind of going through a very similar experience. So that has been very interesting.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's nice how it unfolds. So can I ask you, did you have any of these spiritual thoughts at the age of 33?
I'm so sorry, Angela. My internet connection here in Cancun, of all places, is it's a little shoddy, and I didn't hear the question.
When you were aged 33, were you in a spiritual process at that point in your life?
Yes. So I'm actually a little bit less than 33. I'm not there yet, but very, very close. I would say that my spiritual process, the seeds were there as a child, and it was more so after my college graduation, trying to integrate different sides of who I am. I had the opportunity to attend what is considered a very elite liberal arts college here in the US. And we had a lot of opportunities there. It's a very like intellectually challenging place, and it was after I graduated where I had this calling to look for more, and I had this calling to also connect myself with healing practices to help me reconcile my experience that was very intense. And I would say that it was more so in my mid-20s where that process became more concrete. But even as a child, like I was a teenager and my mom got me tickets to go see the Dalai Lama for a 1-week seminar, because even from a young age, there was always something in me that was searching for higher truth and knowledge, regardless of the tradition. So I would say that it's been a process throughout my entire life, but in my mid-20s is when it became more concrete, and I started realizing that I had these inner gifts that needed to be expressed.
Nice, huh? Very nice work. So I have a friend from Germany that she's going to Ecuador, Bolivia, yes, and she spent some, I think, 2 months or something with shamanic people, and she says always that that is very interesting, the techniques that they use. Yeah, can you describe some of these techniques that they use for helping the people, healing the people?
Yes, Rocio, I'm so sorry again. My internet connection it's
Yeah.
not the best. So I kind of heard a little bit that you have a friend who is traveling to Ecuador who will be in sharing with indigenous people there.
No, well, she always comment that in that areas, in that countries, yeah, they use it's very beautiful and very nice techniques to healing. Yeah, so
Yes.
being you from that place, from that area, can you tell us about how they healing, some techniques?
Yeah. Absolutely. So Ecuador is a very diverse country, and we have indigenous communities throughout all of the land. We have the Amazon rainforest that runs through part of the country. And then we have the northwest coast, which is where I'm from, which is where I spent a large part of my upbringing. And a very specific practice that we have where I'm from is a self-healing technique called the egg limpia. And the egg limpia is basically using the egg as a tool, because the egg also has a very particular resonance with our energetic field. There's some that say that our energetic field is shaped like an egg. And we believe in my community that people can transmit the evil eye, even unintentionally. And we have healers who use the egg to cure what we call mal de ojo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very specific technique where you take the egg, but anybody can do this. Anybody at home can do this. You just take an egg, you hold it in your hand, you can set your intention for the healing that you want to receive. And then you can begin from your crown and work your way down and just rub the egg through your body, rub the egg through all of your energetic centers. It's really important that you do this upwards to downward. And then when you're done, you can break the egg in nature, over a tree, over a plant. You can flush it down the toilet, or you can also put it in a cup of water, and the egg will form different shapes. that can be read, very similar to the way that coffee grinds are read in a lot of Middle Eastern and Arab tradition. And I don't know a lot about how the egg is read, but they say that if you were given the evil eye, that an egg formation will show up in the cup. So it's very interesting. And there's a lot of information online on how to read the egg formations that show up in the water.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful because in Mexico we're doing that. I do that exactly. I clean with the egg exactly, and depending the formation and the shapes that the egg representing the water, you can see if the person, for example, has a magic or bad work, black work, yeah, or something like that. It's beautiful how all our traditions, they are very similar, you know. There are some different, but at the same time, there are similar things. It's beautiful, you know. I always think that we are one people, yeah.
Yes.
And everywhere, different names, maybe different things, but we are that unity, yeah, and it's beautiful. All this.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for sharing that, Rocio. It's in the circle, in the divine wisdom circle, I think one of the main explorations that we've done together is this idea of remembrance of what we have within us as our inheritance, within our cellular memory, within such a deep level of knowing that we just need to remind ourselves that it's there, that we already have all of the tools we need. And we need to just go within to explore that sometimes.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's very nice. So you live, where do you live right now?
So I lived in New Jersey before the pandemic, and at the beginning of the pandemic, moved in with my mother in Pennsylvania. So that's where I'm currently living.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah,
How do you find Pennsylvania? How do you find the area, Pennsylvania?
Oh, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is very interesting to me. I went to school right outside of Philly, so I'm very familiar with it. I think what I enjoy is that there's a lot of nature surrounding us in Pennsylvania, so it's a nice balance of connecting and disconnecting. I know that if I were in a city right now, I would be experiencing the pandemic very differently. I feel like my own sense of perception is very heightened. So I feel like, being in an area where I'm surrounded by a lot of trees helps me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Rocio, I'm just going to hand over to you. I've got a little bit of a cough. I just need to go and take care of it. So if you can just bear with me, and I'm sure you're going to, I just wanted to say, in my mother's country, in the Caribbean, they also had this issue when it came to babies. They would call it something different called maldu, as a kind of slang version. And it was always something that mothers feared for their babies. And I find that very interesting. And I, as a second generation person brought up in the UK, you kind of poo things. What's this old wives' tale, But really, what they were saying, and the essence they were trying to give to us, was that people can transmit negative energies, and that those negative thoughts create those energies, but also they have an impact on the individual. And we're just not told that directly in any form. It's fascinating. So the wisdom in the cultures kept this information. So it's really good that it comes out to the Western world, because, this is where the energy gets dirty and unhygienic, because there's this continual soup of negative frequency. Perhaps you can talk about ways of how people can remove those negative frequencies from their environments, their homes. their workplaces, their relationships. It's fascinating because when we go into two areas of dark and light, it's which one is in control. I always find that really interesting because it's a very physical function. It's an intent, literal intent from a process, explained or unexplained. Love that. Look, so sorry to just leave you with that, but I really must just go and sort my cough out for a moment. I'll be grateful for that. I'll be back. But ROcio and Paola, the stage is yours, darlings. Go for it.
Okay. So, well, as Angela described, yeah, everywhere we have these people that playing with the energies, right? To damage, to obtain the things that they want, to maintain somebody in your side, to don't let that somebody doing what they want to do, whatever. So, in that area in Ecuador, what is more or less, can you describe the techniques that they use for, or the things that they use, even the name of the plants, or I don't know, to help to the people?
Absolutely. And it's a lot of this knowledge it's interesting because of the synchronization between indigenous and Afro-descendant knowledge, and then knowledge that has like mixed with it because of the religion. Sometimes people do things and they don't even realize why they're doing it, but it has a root and it's connected to something that came before them, something that preceded, even like colonization. So there's the use of plants such as ruda, which I know is also used in Mexico, and ruda is believed to have very protective qualities. So you can have it at the front of your house. I have one in my bedroom, and it's a protective plant. Also, rosemary is another protective plant that is very common for people to have in their home at the entrance. Aloe vera as well. And then for children, like Angela had mentioned, there's a tradition where they put like a red bracelet on their wrist, a form of protection from the evil eye, which I know is a practice in so many other parts of the global south. And like I mentioned earlier, the egg limpia is also done for that.
Yes, sorry.
Oh no, you're fine.
But
the egg limpia as well is a very specific practice. And then in especially our indigenous communities, you can visit medicine people. You can visit a shaman and have energy healing sessions with them. And they'll know exactly how to extract any type of energy that's within your field that does not need to be there and needs to be released. And they have their own specific tools and knowledge in order to do that. And I also wanted to mention that I learned recently through my own trips to Ecuador that the first shamans were women.
Oh, yeah. Yes, this is very interesting that it's like be congruent, the female energy is the one that is co-creator, right? And of course, have the knowledge of the mother nature, female too, so has a connection in everything. Yeah, and it's just about the new rules, the new system, the religion, everything make that patriarchal everything, but it's matriarchal really, In the ancient cultures in different parts of the world, they always in the beginning was exactly the female energy, the sacred female energy.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to share that. For me personally, I really like to say affirmations for protection. And as we live through this pandemic, so many of us are connecting more and more digitally and using our devices, our phones, our laptops. We're on social media. And like I had said earlier, I feel like I've had this observation that I'm learning, especially now, how like these digital spheres kind of work, and how even something like the evil eye can be transmitted through somebody who's looking at your social media, who is looking at a picture of you on their phone. And I like to set affirmations, and what I do is that I just say words that feel protective to me, and I'll repeat them whenever I feel like I need to shield myself. One of the affirmations that I say that I would like to share with you is anything that does not belong to me, that is within my energetic, spiritual, or physical body, I release and I send to the original owner. What is mine is mine. What is theirs is theirs. And I'll repeat that, and I'll say it 3 times. And it's an affirmation that I've shared with my sister, my friends. And I think it's really important to set those intentions. You know, as we put our energy into places that we might not have put our energies into when we were able to connect physically before the pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. And it's beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing these words, because we know that the sacred win, yeah, is through the communication, through the word, and the word is very powerful. Yeah, and
Yes.
when we say like you say these beautiful words, making the affirmation in yourself, yeah, ourselves, yes, we are giving that strength, to maintain us in the high level or high, um, our conscience and our frequency as high as we can, because we know that the sickness, yeah, and all this kind of energy that is there around the world right now, even the violence, all that stuff, they are very low, they are in low frequency. So if we are in the high frequency, it's more difficult that they touch us, right? And if we try to be as positive as we can, right? That's very interesting, very nice. Thank you. And I don't know, could you like to share with us some part of the story of the culture that you know from the part that you are from? What is the name of the tribe, maybe? Or I don't know.
Yes. So the area that I'm from, to me, and I'm obviously biased because this is where I've experienced so much magic. To me, it's the most special. It's one of the most special parts of the country, because the lines between the magical and the real are very blurred. And my maternal ancestral land, it's called Esmeraldas, which means emeralds. And it was given that name because when the Spanish colonizers came, they thought they were going to find emeralds. They didn't find emeralds, but the flora and fauna is so bright and so green, it reminded them of emeralds. So they were like, oh, we're going to name it Esmeraldas. And the story goes that there was a ship of enslaved Africans, North Africans, who were on their way to Peru. And by divine orchestration, this ship started to sink. And some of them were able to swim ashore, and they started their own communities. And those communities grew. And it was the last area of Ecuador to become colonized by the Spanish colonizers. As the rest of Ecuador was completely colonized, Esmeraldas stayed of free and liberated territory because of our African maroon leaders. They were just so brilliant, and they knew how to fight off the colonizers and give them a taste of their own medicine. And I think that that story of like rebellion and resistance is a part of everyday life there. It's also one of the most overlooked areas in Ecuador, but it's so vibrant and has so much to offer. In terms of our ancestral practices, we have dance, we have music, we have folklore and stories that are rooted in these communities. And I think there's a lot that I'm still learning myself in terms of healing practices that come from that area. But for anyone that has ever thought about visiting Ecuador, I highly recommend that they check it out, because it's an area that not a lot of people go into. I have friends that are moving to Ecuador soon, and they were like asking me so many questions, and they were like, when you look online, you don't really see a lot of information about that part of the country. And I said, yeah, it's an area that's so rich and so vibrant, but unfortunately the government, doesn't always give it the visibility that it deserves.
Yeah, exactly. And for example, in that area where you were born, the area that what's the position of the woman there?
Mm-hmm. The position of the woman, historically, the woman was at the helm of the household. The woman was the one who healed the community. The woman was the one who transmitted a lot of ancestral ways of knowing. And I would say that that is still the reality today,
Wow.
especially when you go into more rural communities. The woman is so multidimensional. She is shape-shifting in so many different worlds. And the woman is the one who today, even despite the oppression that is faced, she is the one fighting day to day and building bridges and holders of so much ancestral wisdom that is always at risk and always in this space of like being contested. But because of their strength and because of their resiliency, the ancestral transmission has never stopped.
Okay. So there are a lot of respect from women still in your country.
Yes, and even in my community, I mean, the women they do everything. They're the activists, they're the leaders, they're the entrepreneurs, they're the ones teaching the ancestral dance and music. They're the healers. They're the ones that are keeping herbal knowledge alive. They are the parteras, or the midwives, bringing life into the world and keeping, even in that, the ancestral knowledge, of bringing life into the world alive. There's still so many areas that don't have access to modern medicine, that don't have access to hospitals. And they look towards these women that are traditionally roles filled by women for these needs.
Yeah. That's just beautiful to have all this influence of these women from your country. Now,
And even in the indigenous communities too.
okay, that's nice. So, um, how oh well, how many years do you have in United States in Pennsylvania?
So my story is funny. I was actually born in the US. I was born in Florida, and then I was only a few months old, and my mom's circumstances were such that she had to send me to Ecuador to be raised by my grandparents. So
Oh,
I spent my first 2 years of life in Ecuador, and then I came back to the US to start school. And during my summer vacations, because back in those days, airfare was so cheap and it was just so much easier for my mom to receive childcare, she would send me on my summer vacations over there to spend it with my family.
oh, it's nice. So, do you think that
Mhm.
you have or you can bring some influence from your country to the place where you are right now?
I feel like I always have brought that influence. I feel like my life has been a bridge between these two worlds that are just so very different. And
Yes.
I feel like in my own path of understanding myself, I've come to understand that there are very specific things that I have inside of me that are connected to where my mother and my father come from. And I feel like in all of what I do, whether it's the healing circle, whether it is my career goals, I feel like part of my work here is to serve as a vessel so that other people may remember as well
Exactly.
who they are, who their ancestors were,
Yeah.
and how rich of an inheritance we all have that sometimes we don't even perceive as having, just because we have this long lineage of people. And as a woman, for me, especially women, because I really look to them, I really connect with the women in my lineage. Um, their strength and, you know, everything that they lived through, we're all connected to that. We all have a line of dots of so many women that came before us, and there's just so much there if we tap into it.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it's very nice. You know, I'm working with some students from different universities from United States. They come into to the place where I'm living, that is Malinalco. So
Mm-hmm.
I spend with them 3 days, and I give them some traditional knowledge. You know, temazcal and other things. So what I discover is that a lot of these students, they have the background, yeah, from Mexico or from other places in South America. So when they come into
Mm-hmm.
Mexico, it's like they rediscover, yeah, their own ancestors. And we discovered in this thing, in this, that a lot of people that live in United States that were born there, but their roots are not from there. They are like floating somewhere because they don't have the roots. So people like you, like me, or the other people, that we can help them to connect with the roots, with the ancestor roots. They feel more secure about themselves, even they were born there. The ancestors were from other places like Mexico or South America. So this is very nice and very important, that you connected with them, and you talk about this ancestral, yes, healing, medicinal plants, different activities, different things that make sense for them. Like, wow, I'm not from there, but my parents are from there, right? So they feel
Yes.
they feel very well. It's what I asked you that exactly. If you have this
Yeah.
opportunity, yeah, to share. So there are,
Yeah.
I don't know if there are a lot Ecuadorians in the area where you live or that following you in this post.
In the area where I live, there are not a lot of Ecuadorians. There's a larger Ecuadorian community in New Jersey and New York. But the people that are from the region of Ecuador that I'm from are very far and few. A lot of the migration from Ecuador to the US has been more from the highlands where the capital city is. And it's very rare for me to come across somebody who's from the coast. And if they are, it's even rarer for me to meet somebody who is from the area where I'm from, Esmeraldas.
Ah, okay, okay. But I imagine that in your circles that you are doing, yeah, or the things that you are sharing, you have a lot of people where you can share this stuff, right?
Yes, and it's interesting you mentioned, Rocio, the students that you're working with, because a lot of my friends and kindred spirits that connect to the circle, although we come from all different walks of life and represent so many different ages, many of us are kind of peers. Where a lot of us are in the same age range, and many of us are in this process, like you described, of trying to understand, like, who are we outside of what we've been told we are, and what are the strengths and what are the tools that those that came before us used that we can invoke and call in today in our own lives to use as we like confront this experience that we're living through.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
I think for so many of us, it gives us a sense of understanding that helps us integrate ourselves more and more in this experience.
Yes, very nice. Yes, I discovered that too. And even the people that they don't have Mexican roots or South America roots,
Mhm.
when they come in and they learn these things, they are in love of them. And they say, well, I'm not Mexican. I don't have parents or grandmother or grandmother, grandfather from Mexico or somewhere else, but I love this, and they feel nice too. There are a lot of people that they are in this process of awake the conscience, awake what's going on, like you say, who are we, yeah, what are we doing here, where I come from, yeah. And this is very important, and I think that the woman, yeah, is the key of these things, because it's how you
Mhm.
educate your kids, how you tell them what is um the things that you tell to your kids, yeah, in the education, in the way that they can develop this conscience in this time that is very difficult.
Mhm.
And in this time specific, because the young people sometimes they are lost, they lost the direction where they're going and everything in this time, right? So it's very important that the women
Yes.
be prepared in that way, in this that kind of spiritual or that kind of traditions or that kind of things, to guide them in the best way, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
We're
I'm so
also very
inspired.
lucky to have elders connect with us, and having the presence of elders in our circle also helps that process of transmission of
Mm,
ancestral knowledge.
mm,
Exactly.
yeah.
You say something, Angie?
I don't know if my mic is working. I hope it is. But what? From a very I'm coming from a very Western perspective, and although I spent time in my mother's country, I didn't really identify with anything that was taught, which is quite interesting. So I've had to undergo a similar process of remembering who I am, what I am, and where I have been. Where I have been was always something for me. because who was that indicated who I was as a being. But I couldn't identify with one particular culture because the journey itself had been so long over time from the beginning. So I'd made journeys throughout cultures. So I find when I hear stories from cultures, the remembering takes place. So for those who haven't been connected to a strong Indigenous practice, they can still access those memories, those wisdoms, those teachings that we would have received in any culture. And we know that the system disconnected many lineages and many ancestral lines from remembering who they were. This was part of the plan. But what you two have done, actually, while you were having this very beautiful conversation, it reminded me of what we are as women. And this is where my passion comes out, because in this age of now, where women are coming online, they're waking up, their DNA is waking up, Earth is waking up. So this is where it's really important to have these women's circles that can share their wider experiences, but also connect to the wisdom that we carry from Earth. So we can remember all the cultures. We can remember everything that those teachings gave to us. We carry the wisdom literally transmitted through breast milk to our children. We can remember and access that and pass it on in a very physical way. So these are things that are coming to the fore and will come to the fore, is that women will be able to relate the direct her story of Earth, not the patriarchal story. This is her story. And her story is present within our womb, in our universal wombs. Now, we're not told that our wombs have any function other than to reproduce or carry forth a menstrual cycle, or it's a reproductive area. It does certain things. It has a hormonal connection that affects all of our well-being, but it does so much more than that. So you both are inspiring me here to move forward with another section of the purpose of women's work. And this program is available to any woman from any culture. And we feel really strongly about that. So you could be in the corner of England on a farm with a load of sheep. You may go to a church. You may have a very quiet life, but you've always had a knowing, a yearning inside that you've known forever. This eternal knowingness of that there is something that you are, not just the skin suit, as it were. And you both are really inspiring me with that. So thank you. It's really great because you're both at very different stages of your journeys. You know, it's really beautiful to see. Paola, you're about to come online in a very big way. And that's why I noted you in that circle, dear. I noted you.
Thank you.
You're going to do very special work here. And you are doing it. You've begun it. But this is really going to open up other areas where your ancestral wisdom will meet your own learnings from the planet, because you were put into the US for a reason. That reason is to reach all the indigenous peoples, like ROcio as well. In her area, she has all connections of people coming to her, students from all over the world, and they're coming to see you both do this work and learn from those teachings that have been erased from her story or our story. I like our story better, actually. And it's really beautiful. So really thank you both. I'm sure we're going to work together in some sort of project. I'm very certain about that. You know, I have a habit of meeting people in very bizarre circumstances or unusual circumstances. And it's just the beauty of the synchronicity of the universe and what Earth wants us to do as women, as her daughters, because we carry everything. All universal information flows through us, and it doesn't with men. And I know that we've all been men and women in the past, but if you're incarnated as a female, then you're going to have a different skill set, quite a very different skill set, and a much more sensitive skill set. So I feel very strongly, both of you have this very strong female line that works with you very well. ROcio, oh my goodness, love. How would you perceive the story of the Americas with women waking up? What is your psychic perception of that? I'm going to ask this to you as well, Paola.
Well, I know in some way that since in the beginning of the beginnings, they were a very matriarchal line that was in charge, yeah, for the education, for the even the healing, like says Paola, and other things, and they were always with the masculine energy in a very nice companion way. Nobody was in front, nobody was behind. It's always together, But with sorry, but for the religions and this conquest that is invasion, for me, invasion is no conquest. Um, from the people that come in, yeah, they try to change because they have another idea. So they this mix is made the result that we have right now. Yeah, it's a culture from Mexico to the south, confusing and well, where the women, they are losing their own position, like should be, and but also we see in the young people that is, for me, is beautiful. See in the city, in the metro, the men with the babies, carrying the babies and carrying the bags with the things for the babies, because they're going to the place where they take care of the baby, right? So in the past, we didn't see these things. Only the women carry the baby, right? But now we can see more frequently that the men, the young men, they are wake up of this female energy too. That this duality that we have everybody, yeah, and they are wake up in this conscience about they have to be and take care of the baby as the woman, because they have to work both, because the economical situation is not that the woman stay very nice. No, it's not nice. Of course, they have a lot of things to do, but the woman going and have to make work, because the man by himself can't support and give everything to the family. Both they have to work, both they have to take care of the house, both they have to take care of the baby. In this way, the man is in this process of awake the conscience about female energy, and that part is beautiful. I think so. It's beautiful. I love when I see the guy carrying the baby by himself and the woman is not around because she's working too, right? So I love this part. And everybody, when we see, especially in my age, a young guy with a baby and the things for the baby, I will say, oh, so sweet, right? And we take care for him because he's a very healthy guy, right? Yeah. So this is in a resume what I feel, it's my perception, and well, I think this is the time. This is the time when the women, we need to retake this position. This thing about
Yes.
everywhere, politician, economical, education, everywhere, and then we will have a different world.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
What about you, Paola? What are your thoughts?
So I reflect on my own life, and I reflect on the infrastructure that I am living within. that is very different from the infrastructure that my mother lived within, or my grandmother or great grandmother did, to reach their highest potential. And I feel so privileged to be living at this point in time. And I often wonder how they felt, you know, in their own time, because we're a compendium of progress. And as there is this calling for us to look within, for us to look beyond what we can see and beyond what we can touch, and as we do our own individual healing work, that influences the collective, but it also influences the generations that are to come after us. And I know that this is a very exciting time for women. It wasn't that long ago, you know, where, like, for instance, in my mother's community, like, they didn't really have the choice to marry who they wanted to marry, for instance. And although sometimes the progress might feel slow, I feel like it, at this point in time right now, it's very accelerated. And even during this pandemic, and even during this calling to do more healing work, you know, as we heal ourselves, we heal the collective, we heal our exterior world. And I think that that gives us the opportunity to kind of make amends and to create the spaces for women to reach their highest potential, and not be burdened by these systems of patriarchy that dictate the direction of women's lives and what they can and cannot do. And as Rocio mentioned, like, we are seeing these shifts, you know, even in my generation. For me to be the age that I am and not be married, like, that's like really revolutionary. But that's not necessarily the choice that my mother had, or that my grandmother had. And it's really exciting. And I'm also really looking forward to seeing, you know, as I become an elder, to seeing, like, the progression of us aligning as divine feminine beings, aligning with the power that has sometimes been suppressed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's that realization of divine self as a woman. And once you are completely confident and congruent and coherent with that on all levels of your existence, everything else shifts and changes around you. Now, this is one of the key things about women's work, and the purpose of women's work is to provide these spaces for women so that they can learn ancient traditions that will benefit them and their families, but also work with ourselves as technology. We are the best of the best here on the planet right now. We have the most perfected technology. We are the leading edge generation. I don't know what generation to call it, actually, because there's been so many. But we are the best generation technology that can outrun any system, any machine, any belief system, heal ourselves, awaken to potentials beyond what we know in this universe, and actually put that wisdom into action so we can create these zones for that healing, for every woman to remember who they are, for every woman to learn how to connect with their womb properly on a universal level, to provide education about patriarchy, rape, abuse recovery, what is acceptable, what are cultural traditions that need to be removed. And I'm speaking from my daughter's perspective, because I educated her to reject everything and create her own way. Yes, she would have learned from me, but she didn't have those ancestral grandmothers. She has a grandmother, but to provide her with that knowledge, and she sees how the elders have lived, and she thinks, gosh, I'm not doing it that way. And that's just a girl of 12. She's broken all the rules already. I would expect that. I would have done the same myself, which I have, but not, and then got sucked back into that infrastructure. But it's these infrastructures that block us from being women, because they tie into our thought processes. They tie into energetically into us. It draws upon our heart energy. Now, this is really important for women to know, is that it has been designed, the system has designed patriarchy in this way to suppress these very skills that we've got. And we're able to read and diagnose with this technology the sickness, the illness, malaise, the pain of every single soul. We have that ability to change something, yet alone in groups of women of 12 or 13, which we were also crucified for back in the day, called witches, all the rest of it. So the importance of these centres are to provide that level of local connection with, new technology information, but also learning how to trade and do business together across the planet without the interference of those infrastructures that seek to tax us and harvest our energies. Because essentially what they want, this system wants, are breeders, slaves, and sexual playthings. Now, for me, I can hear Western women, I can hear the English middle class perspective saying, oh no, we don't do that. No. But actually, every woman who is even married is a slave to the system. And we are not told that. Women go into marriage, wedding dress, blah, blah, blah. Oh, parents are around, everybody's around. We're all singing praises to some sort of false god. Here we go. Quick, tell her to be quiet. She'll be struck down in a minute. I doubt it. But, this is the biggest myth, that in a marriage contract, that you are supported in some way by the state or the system. You are not. You are there as fodder. You're there to be harvested from. And this is why we are living the lives we are. And even in the West, I'm only referring, why am I being so Britain-centric? I suppose because I'm here and I'm seeing it, that the suppression here is also the same as it is in the US, as it is in Mexico, as it is in China, as it is in India, as it is in Australia and across the world. We are all going through the same suppression, or have gone through that same suppression. And it's only when the slave stands up and says, actually, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm doing it my way, free of all your interactions, your non-interactions, and your silent messages into my life of how I should live, how I should be. And it is such a huge program that, I absolutely believe that it is doable in one generation.
Yeah.
So I'll get off my high horse and lower it down. Okay, so basically what I would like to do in this trio moment of amazing women of all ages, it's quite, you're in your 30s, I'm in my 40s, ROcio is in heaven. I didn't want to say. I knew you wouldn't mind, but I didn't want to say. Anyway, so this is a really great cross-sectional, generational moment of sacred prayer now. So I'm just going to open that up for every being that may tune into this broadcast, past, present, and future. And we're just going to come into a no-time frequency where no system, no interaction from the outside can affect us in this sacred moment. And we're just going to give thanks to our creators, to our ancestors across time. and ask them to stand in celebration with us in this joyous moment. We ask the divine feminine, creator of this universe, to share with us this council of one generation. We bring in all representatives of lineages of women, those unpowered or disempowered in this moment. We see them all standing with us, waiting for this knowledge to come through. The message that you can be free, your soul can be truly free. And as we look deeper into ourselves in this time, as we come towards the end of the light in this fraud year, we share with all women the great dream of peace, the one that we have known since the beginning of conceptual time. As we rise together, we rise as one. We give thanks to all women on this planet, those throughout her story, our story. We share their victories of what it has taken to be here now on this planet today. We ask for complete remedy and resolve of our beings as women, for all those that carry a feminine connection, for we are man and woman, but in this moment in the female physical form for women. We bring forth the universal beings of peace who support our transition in this way too, on this way to being seventh dimensional seed planet frequency beings within ourselves as per our mother. We dream this dream in the Great Mother's eternal womb. We were together, we were one, we were her children. I ask in this divine moment of all infinite possibilities, we ask that women everywhere are healed in their wombs, past, present, and future, through all color frequencies of time. And that if they need further help, that they may find us to assist with this process of deep healing have affected us all on some level, or affected our mothers or other women, family members in our lives. We forgive our mothers because not all relationships have been spared. We forgive them all, past, present, and future. And we accept the teachings that have been given to us in all shapes and forms to bring forth on the planet today. May we decipher the codes of the celestial alphabet so that we may bring forth this new frequency in new word form, untarnished by the system narrative. Excuse me, I was mentioning the word narrative. We deconstruct the system narrative in all of its patriarchal forms. We deconstruct it and replace it with the original ways of Earth. We encourage and invite all those to adopt the ways of your Mother Earth. Remember them. Remember the gifts that were given to you, what you were incarnated with. ROcio, would you like to continue?
Yeah. We connected from our heart to the universe. We connected with the being of light that we are here in this Mother Earth and there in the universe. We connected with all our galactic codes. We connected with the beautiful, beautiful light that gives us the life, that gives us every moment that we have here and now. We connected with our historical galactic historial to continue in this life, to continue with the wisdom from our ancestors, to connect with them in any time that we need. The elders that are here and the elders that are already gone to the next level. We connect them with all of them to continue our work, to continue the healing, to continue from our heart, giving the best of us, to project from our mirror, internal mirror, the best of us. We connected to give the love, to give the unconditional love to our brothers, sisters, parents, husbands, boyfriends, friends, whoever is around us and whoever is beyond in the universe, in this planet. We connect with them through the love, through the knowledge that we receive from the universe, from this knowledge of wisdom that we ask every day to continue this beautiful mission of life. Because remember, we are beings of light, living the experience of life. Every day is a new and beautiful experience to make us a better humans, better beings, better light, better connections with ourselves and with everybody outside. And remember, everything is inside of us. We need to look inside of our beautiful being to project the best outside. Look your guide, look your medicine, look your love, your compassion, your humble. Everything is with you, and you will bright. You will shine because you are the light. Aho.
Paola?
We connect with the infinite wisdom of our ancestors, of the women that came before us. We call upon their strength and resilience. We ask them to shield us with their highest power of protection. We know that we are never alone, even in the darkest moments. We have ancestors, angels, and guides that have our highest interest at heart and are always with us if we call upon them. Despite the difficulties of this time. We are all here for a reason. And I am so grateful for your presence, for your existence. And all those that are connected to you are grateful for your presence and your existence, because your presence illuminates this world. Your presence heals others. Your presence represents unconditional love, because that's what you were created with. You were created as a perfect image of unconditional love, and that is what you are, and that is what you'll always be, despite the learning lessons, despite the obstacles that we sometimes confront that help us ascend into who we are meant to be. Thank you.
We transmit the frequency of celestial mediums of peace here in this universe. To stabilize ourselves on this frequency of ever-changing infinite earth. And we give thanks for these learning experiences that bring the information through for the peoples of this planet. Blessings and thanks.
Nice.
I've got chills because we just did something very special and unique, and I like doing things like that. Woo. Right, so wow, we've been going for an hour and a half. That's great. So I would like to thank you, Paola, for coming onto the show and talking to us about your life, your journey, and the things that you've learned, and the things that you're going to go on and share with people that will create the greatest of spaces for people, young people, to move along on their journey. It's beautiful, and it gives us much hope and inspiration for the future generations.
Thank you so much, Angela, for seeing me that way and for inviting me, for having me here today. Thank you, ROcio, for sharing as well, for your really interesting questions. Really appreciate it.
Thank you to you, Paola.
Yeah. So everybody, do join us next week on Women's Work at the usual time. I won't go into the fraud time aspect, but we will be back with another installment of We Don't Know Yet. We'll let you know closer to the time.
We have a lot of things. Don't worry.
Yeah, so I'm going to quickly take this opportunity to announce my other new show on Glastonbury Radio 432.com, The Angela Miller Show, where I'm going to be going into new ways of doing business in the 5th and 6th world of peace. We're going to be having a women's work section on there. We're going to be it's going to be quite a massive show. I don't know if I'm going to have to have enough time. Anyway, I'll do it in the right time. So I'm really looking forward to that. I also really wanted to just put it out there again. We have UK Concordia Spiritual Activation starting on November the 1st at 7 p.m. Do find me on Facebook. This is a 13-week voyage into your personal journey, discovery into self, and voyage into your own expansion. And we do this in a number of ways. We clear your being with our future technologies and get you ready to open you up to higher levels of your existence and awareness that are you, that are in you, but we're just facilitating the wider opening of that process. Now, we have a class for those on the Eastern Standard Time Zone. That is from November, it's the 11/11 at 7 p.m. EST. And these are really key dates, activation dates on the planet. We're going to be doing all sorts of things to liberate you from what Paola described as those infrastructures or structures. Exciting. Very exciting. We have our Pacific group already on the flow. They're doing really amazing. Oh, Willow's put it in the chat. Thank you, Willow. Thank you, darling. There you go. Concordia spiritual activation. That's wonderful. Thank you, my darling Willow. That's absolutely amazing. I love you. And we probably all just flew off the planet because I knew Willow was with us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rocio. Thank you, Paola.
Thank
We
you,
will
Paola.
again, I'm sure. This is really amazing. Oh, and we've got a nice message there from Kuko. I can't read it. I haven't got my glasses. Maybe you could, Rocio.
Says Tlazocamati, and Palnemoguanio Meteo, Angela Tikini, Tequini, Tlazo, Tlahuicili, Rocio, and Paola. Thank you, Kuko. Greetings.
And there's Willow again. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to Anonymous, who was joining us from the background. Yeah, we do love you, Willow. Bless you. And we're all going to do some really great stuff. Can see it in the future. Fabulous. Okay, thank you, everybody. Join us next week, 9 p.m. GMT, and we will advertise beforehand. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, everyone.